Theological pipe.
I've been expecting you. Bingo! Yahtzee!
There is a God, and
I speak jive.
I'm not him.
What shall we use to conduct this beautiful current with? What one particular element comes to mind? Wire. Copper.
In praise of Breaking Bad, a few months ago when I first started, I still feel like I'm learning how to do podcasts and, how to make it sound right and look right. And, of course, I'm doing this in my car, so it's not going to sound perfect as it does when I use the microphone. But a few months ago when I started the podcast, one of the podcasts I did was a list of what I consider the best TV shows of all time. And I listed NYPD Blue, Breaking Bad, The Wire, Sons of Anarchy, Seinfeld, The Office. I just listed a bunch, and you can go listen to it again. And the list, I put NYPD Blue at the top because it really is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But I just got done rewatching Breaking Bad, and depending on the day, I think I could put Breaking Bad at the top and put NYPD Blue down a notch or two. And I started watching Breaking Bad again because I had just finished watching all the seasons of Better Call Saul, which was great. And I just wanted to do a quick podcast about just how amazing Breaking Bad is. The story's ridiculous. Now, at the end, there were some things that kind of pushed the boundaries of, okay, you're making it almost cartoonish. At the beginning, I thought it was great the way the whole series. I thought it was great how you saw Walter White's transformation from a chemistry teacher who was a little disappointed in himself because he got out of the company that him and Elliot, Gray Matter, the company that him and Elliot started, and lost out on a lot of money. But he was a teacher, he had a wife, he had a kid, and then all of a sudden to watch that transformation from that to becoming a narcissistic, evil, sadistic meth kingpin. And to watch that transformation is unbelievable. To watch the transformation that Jesse Pinkman went through, I still just thinking about it, the worst character in any show is Skylar White. She's the worst. She's the absolute worst. I remember texting my brother back and forth as I was rewatching it because he's a big fan as well, and saying, man, every scene that Skylar White is in, I just despise her. I despise her character. I despise the way she walks. I despise the way she talks. I despise the way she acts. I despise the way she thinks she has to put her 2 cents in. I despise the talking pillow scene where she's like, no, we have to have the talking pillow. And then when someone got the talking pillow and shared their feelings and didn't agree with her, she got bad. She just is the worst character of all. And there's so many times I wish, in keeping with the tradition of the show, that Walter White would have just murdered her, killed her, sold her off to slavery somewhere to pay a debt from Tuco or something like that. But the show itself, I can't say enough about the show. I can't say enough about how great the show is. And it's one of the few shows that the final episode was satisfying. The final episode was good. Like Jesse Pinkman, the scene where he breaks through the gate and just is driving and starts pounding on the steering wheel, like, yeah, like, man, that's great. And just Walter White dies as he should, right? I mean, he's not a redeeming character. There's really no redeeming characters in that whole show, and that's the part that just blows my mind. Because normally for me, shows that are gritty and shows that are raw and shows that are, gruesome a little bit, I always want there to be at least some redeeming quality or some at least hint of a happy ending or hint of a higher purpose or a higher power. And in the end, there was none of that for Breaking Bad. And despite that's what I like. I'm doing those album reviews if you listen to my other podcasts. And the albums that I am drawn to, the albums that I rate high, are ones that have a sense of higher purpose, higher love, higher power, God, which shouldn't be a surprise because this is Theological Pipe. With Breaking Bad, there's none of that. There's no sense of higher purpose. There's no sense of morality. There's no sense of God. There's no sense that things are going to be okay, even in the rawness. And even despite that, I still love the show because it's so well made. It's so well acted. The characters are great. I love Saul Goodman. I love Skinny Pete and Combo and Tuco Salamanca and Hector Salamanca. Just, man, character after character, just great scene after great scene. But again, watching the transformation of a mild-mannered chemistry teacher to, again, a murderous, evil meth cook. He's not a meth head, meth cook, is just beyond amazing. And so many great scenes that I can pick out that I'm not gonna go scene by scene or season by season or episode by episode, which maybe that'd be something to do, like on a Breaking Bad podcast. I'm sure there's those out there. But I just want to say, if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, you need to watch it. It's a great show. Again, adult themes. Obviously, when you're in the drug underworld, there's going to be some things that are not made for like a rated G audience by any means, not for kids. But man, a great show. And again, I'm trying to think if there's some sort of theological lesson I can put to it to say, here's why, here's a theological point that you can look at. And there's really not. Again, I praise God for art, and I say it all the time in my music reviews. I thank God that there's music. I thank God that there's art and poetry and writing and books and movies that can distract us from life. And so in the end, for Breaking Bad, that's probably going to be it. It's such a good show. It's so well made. So many, plot twists. And I've had my mom and dad watch it. I've had other people watch it, and they get hooked after the first few episodes. And I'm like, you haven't seen anything yet. Just wait. And then they'll get to season 2. And they're like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? And I go, you haven't seen anything yet. It's that good of a show. It's just a great show. So in praise of Breaking Bad, I guess maybe one of the theological concepts, if we want to pull something out that's not there, it's the dangers of greed and of money and of power. That's probably a good one, because, man, Walter White is drawn into it. And one of the culminating lines is when he meets with Skylar for one of the last times, and he's going to talk to her, and she goes, please don't tell me that you did this for us. And he just basically looks at her and he said, no, I did it for me. I liked it. Like he was overcome with, again, the power and the greed and the strength that he had, and he liked it. And maybe that's something to think about when you're watching it. But again, if you haven't watched Breaking Bad, watch Breaking Bad. You owe it to yourself. It's a great show. And so I just wanted to do, again, there's no reason I did that. I just rewatched it. It's a great show. So put that in your theological pipe and smoke it. So I have a few faults. One of the greatest lines in a really funny movie delivered by Dabney Coleman. He was playing Franklin Hart in the movie 9 to 5, and he was called out. They said, you're a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot. And his response was, so I have a few faults. Love that movie. That's one of my favorite lines in any movie.
Judy, you've got to help me. That mob has gone crazy out there. They're trying to kill me.
Well, why would they want to do a nasty thing like that?
I don't know. I'm not such a bad guy.
You're a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot.
So I have a few faults. Who doesn't?
And the movie's really good. It's a funny movie, and this isn't about Dabney Coleman or the movie 9 to 5. It's about Dolly Parton. This is a in praise of Dolly Parton, who was in that movie and was really good in it. Dolly Parton is probably, at least in my opinion, one of the closest things that we have in this country to royalty. Very few people have anything negative to say about Dolly Parton. Now, in today's culture, unfortunately, there are some. You can find somebody that just doesn't like Dolly Parton because she doesn't speak out on politics or she doesn't get involved in social issues, even though she's one of the most charitable people in the world. She's always friendly. She's always kind. She's always encouraging. And there's a great book that I'm listening to which prompted this one in praise of, I just did one on in praise of Breaking Bad, and now I'm piggybacking it with in praise of Dolly Parton. There's a great book called Dolly Parton, Songteller. And in it, there's some clips of her songs. She describes why she wrote the songs, how the song "I Will Always Love You" came about, why she wrote Jolene, and other songs that she wrote about. And she describes in her book how she doesn't speak out on politics. She thinks everyone should have their own opinion and everyone should be encouraging and loving and caring. And you can tell that she really practices that in the way she carries herself. But she says, if you think I don't have opinions on things, you need to listen to my songs. She's an amazing songwriter. She's an amazing lyricist. Some of her lines are just poetry. She's really cool, and she comes off really well in this book. And it's really not even like a book that you read. You really should listen to it because, again, they play clips of her songs. And there's a narrator who will narrate a section, and then she'll kind of just talk almost as if she's being interviewed. But she comes across as Dolly Parton, and she's just great. And I can't say enough of that about that book. It's called Dolly Parton Songteller. You need to listen to it. If anything, again, this is Theological Pipe, just as an example of someone who tries to treat people with love and kindness. And you could tell that's from her upbringing. You could tell that's because, she was raised in a Christian home, and she has some funny stories about that in there. But again, just hearing her talk about how the first time she heard "I Will Always Love You," when Whitney Houston redid it, she heard it in a car. She didn't even know that they redid it. She knew they were thinking about redoing it, but she didn't know that they redid it, and she just was blown away and had to pull off on the side of the road. When she talks about why she wrote that song, it is really kind of cool. And again, other songs that she's written and how she's so proud of people covering her songs, and she's just friendly, and she's kind, and she's loving, and she's just great, and she's really encouraging. That's another thing that I love about artists or people that are famous, that are encouraging, that encourage other people to chase their dreams and to keep pushing forward. And she's really encouraging. So Dolly Parton's great. Who doesn't love Dolly Parton? But again, this is in praise of Dolly Parton. Go get the book Songteller, and if anything, follow her example. Again, we don't. Again, as a theological idea, we don't follow people, we follow God. We follow Jesus Christ and his example. But there are good examples on earth of people who are trying to do things right. I'm not saying she's perfect, but man, she's just cool, and Dolly Parton's great. So if you like books, you'll like the book. If you like Dolly Parton, you'll love the book. If you like music, you'll love the book. Even if you don't like Dolly Parton, you'll love the book. It's a good book, and it's a great listen. Again, I would listen to it because, again, they play clips of her songs, and she comes across better, I think, in talking because she's Dolly Parton and she's cool. So, put that in your theological pipe and smoke it, and we'll see you next time.
Well, bye.